everyone! Welcome to Kababayan Today. Ako po si G. Tanji. It is a pleasure to once again do excerpts of this amazing anthology, Filipinotown, Voices from Los Angeles. And we are very fortunate because coming to our show for the first time, kasama natin si Joselyn Geaga-Rosenthal, who is a licensed psychotherapist. She has founded several political and community organizations and opened an art gallery on Temple Street dedicated to her mom, Remy Geaga, after whom Remy Square on Temple and Alvarado was named. She's here today to share this amazing story. At alam naman natin ng mga Pilipino, lahat tayo nagde-debut, di ba? This is her story. Joselyn?
In the Philippines, a debut is the rite of passage for a teenage girl. So what normal 18-year-old Filipina would not be ecstatic about her coming out party? Well, me, I was not. Apparently, I was not normal in this regard. Celebrate my 18th birthday in the typical grand style of our culture? Well, I didn't even give it a thought. For one thing, I scoffed at the underlying subtext for a debut, to be presented to society as marriageable. No, sir, this was not my priority. Besides, I was preoccupied with my career goals. There would be plenty of time to celebrate or get married after I'd made my way to something on my own first. That's the way I felt about it. Luckily, my mother didn't mind. She was a no-frills gal, and she did not fancy such frivolities, quote unquote. So I celebrated my 18th birthday with no particular fanfare 3 months after arriving in the U.S. on New Year's Day of 1965. But crossing the Pacific must have changed something in my mother. A few weeks after my 18th birthday, she announced that I was to join a group debutantes ball sponsored by the Los Angeles Philippine Women's Club. It was to take place at the famed Ambassador Hotel in Coconut Grove. I was perplexed and uncertain at first, but I sensed the new something in my mom, and I went along with the idea. There was the frenzy of planning meetings in homes of club members, many of whom lived in historic Filipinotown. Just close by, my family and I were temporarily ensconced in a rambling 2-story California craftsman home. Apparently, I wasn't paying too much attention because suddenly the rehearsal for the debutantes ball was upon us. I was jolted to see most of the debutantes with their boyfriends or male partners at the rehearsal. I think both my mother and I assumed that my brother Jorge would uncomplainingly serve as escort, a role he had become familiar with in the conservative Filipino culture of my youth. He had chaperoned me a few times to dances in the past and was my ticket to enjoying the awesome parties and dances on the 21 ship voyage to America. At that moment, though, I entertained the idea that I think it would be nice to have a partner other than my brother, and that I should get out of my comfort zone. Well, easier said than done. Time was running short, and I only had a small universe of fellow classmates at Los Angeles City College to draw from. I zeroed in on Richard, cute but shy. Then I had second thoughts. Would this give me away that I had a crush on him? Was I opening myself to being vulnerable? Oh, why not ask someone safe? This whole thing was just becoming too complicated. How could I ask this practical stranger to be my partner to this big dance that was becoming more and more a big deal to me? Richard and I had only exchanged warm smiles and a few words about classwork thus far. I decided that in the few days ahead, I would have to start up some conversations with more substance to lead to finally asking him, would I have to talk him into it? How humiliating. It felt like I was begging. Oh, this was taking too much energy and distracting me from my schoolwork. Why did I even agree to this in the first place? Well, I honestly cannot remember what I said. I know I was very nervous and embarrassed at myself, but I took the leap out of my comfort zone. I don't really remember what he said either, but I do remember his warm smile and response and the photos to prove that it happened. He was a real gentleman. He rented a white tuxedo, brought me a corsage, and we had a real great time. We danced the official waltz and then danced the night away with those twists and turns of the 60s.
Yay! Such a pleasure to hear you read your story. How
Thank
long
you.
ago did this take place?
This was 50 years ago. Would you believe? It's kind of a little strange reading this piece from when I was 18 years old. Obviously, I was a very different person then.
Yes, but the
It's
fact
so
that
fun.
you were able to write it down, and it's such it's a beautiful story
Thank you.
that shows your sort of coming of age, and at
Right.
the same time your family dynamics, and this, you know, Richard. Yes, but thank you for sharing your story in this anthology, Filipinotown. So
Yeah.
you grew up here in historic Filipinotown.
Yes, well, not really. My parents uprooted themselves from the Larchmont area in '88 and moved to historic Filipinotown. That's, the introduction talked about my mother, who was a community activist, and she and my father decided they had a mission to start organizing services for seniors in historic Filipinotown. It wasn't called that at the time.
Yes.
So then we moved back. I moved back to historic Filipinotown in early 2000.
Wonderful. Joselyn, thank you so much for being here and reading your story with us. Nakakatuwa.
Thank you
So
for the
delightful.
opportunity.
Pagbalik natin dito sa Kababayan Today, we'll have more excerpts of a reading from Filipinotown. We'll be right back.